you. Any comments or changes? No, thank you. All right. All right, we have Sarah Yoon here from the Historic Planning Site Preservation, says HSPB, to give us an update of your area. So thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Yoon, Historic Preservation Planner for the City of Palm Springs. Thanks for allowing me to crash your party at the very, very beginning. This is such a big crowd, I need to come here more often. I actually just wanted to let everyone know here that the Historic Site Preservation Board is having their 10th symposium. It's going to actually be held at the Palm Springs Convention Center. It's scheduled for April 26th on Saturday. I did leave a few flyers in the back. It is actually a full house in terms of our event. We have a lot of people who are interested. The symposium focuses on topics related to historic preservation within the city. This year, again, it's our 10th one, and so we're super excited to be hosting that at the convention center. So I just wanted to do a quick plug and say, please come. It's a free event, city sponsored, and we will have a reception following 4 speakers. So I would love to see everyone there. Thank you. Oh, yes, the time. It's on the 26th Saturday. It starts at 1 o'clock and it goes till about 5, and then we'll have a reception following. Yes, sir. So we do have a registration set up for tickets. It's actually going pretty fast. So if you end up on the wait list, just take a good look. Just keep track of the wait list. If you do end up staying on the wait list, I would say come on by on the 26th to the convention center. If there's space, we'll let you in. So, but yes, there's a ticket registration. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I've already met some new people, so good. One PS, I think we're going to donate a sound system to the building. Okay, I know there are new people here tonight, and if you would please just raise your hand. Tell us what neighborhood you're from. Sunrise Park. Anyone else? Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you. India. Perfect. Scott, are you waving? Hi. No, you're not new. All right, but we're happy to have you. Bless you. Anyone else? Oh, he's Sunrise. Very good. Well, thank you. Please come back again. And it dropped off the agenda for some reason, but any updates from NORD that we don't, I'm going to get this up in a second. Any updates from NORD? Carly?
I started talking to the chief about the non-response my neighborhood is getting from the fire department. We requested they be at our neighborhood meeting. They did not show. Just before the meeting, I asked for a report to be read that I could give to the neighborhood, tell them about the number of calls. We got nothing. So Chief, Palm Springs PD outdid you. They have a complete PowerPoint where we got all the details. They need to step it up.
Well, I didn't want to start my presentation off like that. Am I up? Do I have a few minutes or am I up?
Well, you're not up yet.
We'll make good. We'll make good on it.
You will. Any other neighborhood issues you bring to our attention? No. Okay. Moving right along. If you can make the microphones work, Mayor and Honorables, I'd like to invite you next. We have our city leadership report. Whoever gets to be first gets the microphone.
You know, if we got to pick who goes first, Jeffrey and I are like film festivals. I'm the short fest and he's the loud fest. Yeah, so I'm going to truly have just give you an update on how our council visiting and strategy session went in beginning of the month, last month. We recommit to a number of familiar goals and values that you are all aware of: sustainability, infrastructure, social equity. And subset to that, still very important, focusing on economic development, public safety, community services, infrastructure, and housing. And with that, we picked some priority areas that are going to receive a little extra love and care this year. And top on that list is the convention center modernization, the airport modernization, enhanced efforts to deferred maintenance, update the zoning code, finish the economic development plan study that's underway, and continue to focus on opportunities for affordable housing here in Palm Springs. So that's the fun and excitement that we had from one afternoon at the council visiting session.
And in Aruba, you didn't mention that.
No, you're so tan.
I broke the microphone, okay. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to everyone for the picnic, which was fabulous. A lot of work, but I will tell you, people just loved it. I loved it. So I don't know, it seemed bigger and better than ever. So I don't know what the numbers are. Was it? Okay, well, it's great. A couple other things to reminder, our boards and commissions applications are out now. I think the applications have to be in by the end of April. So that's for all boards and commissions within the city. I would apply. You need to live, work, or go to school in Palm Springs. And just so people know, you don't have to be of a certain age, so students can join. And it's open. We're trying to get a broad base of interest out there. Just make sure whoever applies, whether it's you or someone else, knows what the commission is about, watches some meetings, has an idea. So that's important. Also on the 16th, we have a vendor fair, the Coachella Valley Vendor Fair. So I think it's the third one that we're doing at the convention center. And this is city agencies and other agencies from around the whole valley offering city contracts and how to apply for city contracts for locals. And we're trying to encourage local participation. So this will take place in the convention center. You know, Palm Springs does tens of millions of dollars a year in contracts, and as well as do the other cities. And it's not just road construction. I mean, we hire marketing people, website designers, accountants, security, all kinds of supply orders. So it's worth going to. It's free at the convention center on the 16th. Also, at our last council meeting, we had an update on the navigation center. So, you know, any kind of a new navigation center that takes formerly homeless people and puts them into a more permanent living situation, has issues, but I think it's about 85% full right now. That's for the temporary housing. And the overnight is pretty much full at 50 every night. And so far it seems to be going pretty well. A few people have been housed permanently out of that, which is good news. So we're going to look at that, and then we have our Aloe Palm Canyon, which is the next affordable housing to open in Palm Springs, will open in June. So that'll provide other opportunities. We're looking at some state laws which make it difficult to get into the navigation center temporary. You have to earn 15% or less of the median income, and our median income is pretty low. And so it's proving to be a little bit too restrictive. And we have certain funds that only can be applied to people who come from being homeless into the temporary center. So they've been in the overnight one for a while, or couch surfing, they're actually not eligible. So there's some strange laws that we're trying to work on as other cities. Couple other things that we've done on council, there's a number of new parks updates that you'll see. A lot of these were Measure J, which thank you for everyone for voting for. So we finalized the recreation field lighting at the stadium and I think Demuth. New exercise equipment at James or Jesse was finalized, and we have the new playground at Baristo. There's a big opening on Thursday at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. I think that's right. But so check that out. The playgrounds are really wonderful if you haven't seen them. Couple other things, we're doing something new. You'll see at the airport a Coachella store this month. So they're going to do a pop-up there. And the idea is what we're trying to do at the airport with concessions and other things is to really reflect the sense of place with local opportunities. And I think Trio is going to open their restaurant soon as well. As the mayor said, the convention center is a big project, a big stakeholder project that is ongoing right now. We had a presentation at council. This will be a $100 million plus project. We're looking at design of it right now. We're looking at sources of funding, which is potentially Measure A, some Measure J, potentially a TOT issue, and a TBID. Those are business supported ones. And then another section of it, which is not actually part of the construction, but related, is the connectivity to downtown. And that's getting a lot of interest to really create a walkable sense from the convention center to downtown. There's 4 corridors there, Tacos, Andreas, Amato, and Alejo. It's still unclear whether we'll do all 4 or a limited amount or start with 1 and move on. But it also will set, this was a discussion at council, it'll set an example for what we can do in our city in terms of, do we need more shade? Do we need beautification, wayfinding, and how do we make other parts of our city more walkable? Which is really what we want to do, especially for climate action, for parking, and we'll also have to address issues with heat. So all of that is coming out there. The mayor mentioned the visioning session, so you'll see more information on tomorrow's council agenda about what we discussed. Also tomorrow is we'll be having our fee study, which is all the fees the city, public hearing and all the fees the city charges for everything. So if there's something you think is too expensive, I don't want to say that. But our fees are determined basically upon the state law. They have to be how we assess what it costs us to do it. If it's not for the broad community as a whole, but for specific groups, we have to charge them based upon what we assess the value, the actual cost at. So that is a, okay. I can just talk. So that's the fee study that will be on tomorrow. Also tomorrow is the South Palm Canyon Low Water Bridge crossing in Arenas. This is by Oswit. This is really a public safety issue that's been going on since the Oswit Canyon issue came up. They have re-engineered it several times to be as eco-friendly as possible. But the concern really from our engineers and public safety is if we have another one of these huge, storms, what the danger could be to the area. So that's on the agenda tomorrow. I just want to also mention a couple of things about our economics right now. We're seeing how there is concern about tourism in our valley. There was a big presentation at Visit Greater Palm Springs from our local, but also Visit California. And so there is anti-U.S. sentiment from a lot of travelers, and we're already starting to see some of that. The good news is that that I don't know what the word she does. Maybe Linda. We're the least ugliest, I think. What was it? Yeah. Something like that. So while there's more negative sentiment from some people about the U.S., California still looks better than most places. And so I want to thank, the mayor really pushed the new banners downtown. The Canadians. I will tell you, I have a store downtown, and people love it, and people Canadian love it, and so it's helpful. And so one of the things that I think what we can really do as a city, we obviously can't control everything, but we are a special place, and we can double down on that because people who do want to come for a convention or conference, this is a great place. People who do want to domestically travel, there's a lot going on here. We're very open and welcoming. I will describe sort of the last week of my life in Palm Springs. And I was thinking about this today, about how great our things are here. We had going on. A week ago, we had Trans Pride, which was huge here. Then we had the Steve Chase Awards. The next day, we had our Desert Winds Freedom Band. If anybody's not seen them, 100+ piece wind band symphony that plays in Palm Springs. We had our American Documentary Film Festival, which is one of the biggest documentaries in the country and one of our 8 film festivals. Our Palm Springs Speaks, if you haven't been that, Mary Louise Kelly from NPR, who was terrific, with hundreds of people there. The faux fur ball for the animal shelter, which is really sets the standard for the whole valley, had a wonderful event, and they're now expanding to help the nonprofit is helping to expand Wildlife Center in Indio and to help a hospital take over a hospital in Desert Hot Springs. So that was actually left vacant, and they're going to operate it now. So that's great for the whole valley. I went with our city manager to the Opera in the Park, and the mayor was there, which is another great event in our city. So there's a lot going on, and I think this is what we as Palm Springs can keep promoting. That if you're going to travel, if you want a nice place to live, this is the place to come. So that's our response to any kind of negativity out there, that we're still positive and moving forward. So happy to answer any questions.
The paper projected came up with a number of $200 million that visitors spend, and Canadians spend in the valley. If that money is gone, are there contingency plans?
Well, we're looking at it closely. I mean, the thing is, I think we have from Canadians who are still traveling, maybe to other parts of the country. I think we have in our valley more of an opportunity to get them. I think you'll see a lot more domestic travel out here, and we're continuing to promote it. So in the fall, we have the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association that we're welcoming to Palm Springs, but really the whole valley is welcoming to try and promote what a good place we are to live. So we're watching the economics very closely, and I think we'll see. And we're talking to our Visit Greater Palm Springs is talking to our representatives and our government representatives for the area, and we're talking to them as well so that they understand the importance of the Canadian visitors to us and all visitors. I mean, we're a tourism-based economy. And our representatives need to represent us in that conversation. So it's an ongoing struggle, and we're going to keep making the point. And I think when you look at our budgets, we're going to move forward cautiously. Fortunately, we have a lot of investments that have already been made. We are well staffed up right now, and our numbers still continue to hold pretty well in terms of visitors. So. It's really more about what happens next year, and that's what we'll have to look at closely. Yes.
I want to thank the city for working with the state to move the Gene Autry work to the evenings. What a difference coming home.
Yeah, so this was really thanks to the city manager, is that there was one daytime when everything became just a complete mess. By doing it at night, it does cause some annoyances for some people, but it happens twice as fast because they can go up and down the streets very quickly. So that's what was fun. So. Anything else? Okay. Well, speaking of fun things to do, I'm off to the Cabaret 88 at the Annenberg.
I love it. He was great.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it.
So there's always something to do.
I want to thank the board. Jeffrey leaves the room, and I have Scott up and the mayor. Just hold this up. I just want to thank the city council and city staff for attending our annual meetings. We've had not quite 52 this season, but I know I've been to a lot, Tim's been to a lot, and you're all there on Saturdays and Sundays. So thank you all, and please extend our thanks to your staff. It really matters. Neighborhoods really want to hear from you. They don't come to this once a month. They come to their annual meeting. So thank you again for all your support. City Manager Scott, please give us your report. If you can make it work, it's yours.
I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. We covered everything. I got nothing left.
Easiest job in town.
Geez, it does work, okay. Just a couple things. One is, Carlene, I appreciate the comment about the night work, because we were a little stressed out about it. And we were nervous about going to night work because we want to always be sensitive about people's sleep habits and everything else. But fortunately, most of that work was a little bit along Ascena, but not as bad for a lot of other neighborhoods. And what really convinced me was when the contractors are talking about, we can do this work faster, quicker. And what was really important is if they're doing it at night, they can do a long pour of asphalt and pavement in a way that actually makes the product better at the end too. So hopefully a little longer lifespan. So it's done. It was a hassle for everybody for a while, but I think we're in a little better spot. So maybe some lessons learned for us too going forward, and maybe trying to be a little more flexible about that.
I think Cat City followed because they're doing 111 and they promised to be done by 5 a.m. in the morning. So at 6 a.m. I'm looking at the trucks going.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, good. Like I said, the mayor and the councilman talked about most of everything. What I did want to just piggyback a little bit on one gentleman talked about the economy and everything. We are, going into our budget preparation of our next 2-year budget that council needs to approve by July 1st. So we are watching the economy very closely. I don't know if you saw, there was a big article in the LA Times today about the Canadian impact on the Coachella Valley, and particularly for Palm Springs. So we are monitoring it, as Councilman Bernstein said. We're holding pretty steady right now with our hotel and short-term vacation rental revenue that's coming in. So that's a good thing. And I think, as was referenced, I think last summer, I just heard of many people who were traveling abroad. They were going all over. And I think we'll probably see a little bit less of that this year. But what we may see is a lot more folks from LA, Orange County, San Diego County, who are like, we're not taking a giant vacation around the world, but maybe we'll just do more getaways, and they might come out our way a little more. So we're just going to have to monitor real closely. I know we're looking at it from a budget standpoint as well. So it's the times we're living in, and we have to be aware of it. We've gotten a tremendous, I loved hearing everybody here clap when Jeffrey talked about the banners, and great credit to Mayor DeHart for coming up with that idea and putting it together really fast. So I think it makes a difference, and it's not just for the folks that are getting ready to leave here. They're here seasonally, and they're getting ready to fly back to their homes, maybe up in Canada, but maybe when they go back, they'll say, yeah, we're not so excited about going to all places in the US, but we do feel good about coming to Palm Springs, the Coachella Valley. And so, maybe we can, and their banners that we can put back up in the fall when people are start arriving back here to come back here. So that's a good thing. Just the only other thing I wanted to talk about, the mayor and I last week, we went out to look at Indian Canyon and Gene Autry and the sand that was out there. So, I know there's a tendency to think that, last week we had a lot of kind of stormy, windy weather. It was blowing sand all over the place, and we have barricades up there so people can't drive out there. But we took a tour out there, and I just have to impress upon everybody, we were out there and there were parts of Indian Canyon that had sand piled up 14 feet high from the wind. Gene Autry, I think, had 10 feet high, and the mayor and I were driving around, and it's staggering. We had basically excavation sites going on up there loading dump trucks, hauling it and moving sand. I see Linda back there. It's those two roads, I don't have to tell anybody, are so important for transportation around. You know, if I've said this many, many times, if you live in Desert Hot Springs and you're going into cardiac arrest and you have to get to Desert Regional, which is the only level 1 trauma center in the Coachella Valley. If you can't get down Indian or Gene Autry to get to the hospital and you've got to divert 20 minutes one way or the other, that's the difference between life and death in a lot of cases. So it's important, you know, our crews were working around the clock to push sand, get it all removed, get those roads open. So I appreciate your patience bearing with us. It doesn't seem like it should be that much when you think about it, but the work that's going on out there when we have these big wind events, it's enormous. And so anyway, I just want to take a moment mentioning that. And then the other thing about the annual meetings that I've started to do between me, our assistant city manager, and our 2 deputies, I can't be at all of them, you know, all the time. And so we tried to divide and conquer a little bit and get some different annual meetings where we can. And people I know usually appreciate seeing us and talking about stuff. So we'll continue to do that. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Any questions for the city? Yes. Yeah.
Does the city control the full length up north of the Indian Canyon and Gene Autry all the way up to the freeway and the road?
Yep, pretty much. Yep. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Doesn't like me.
Doesn't like me.
I think it's where you're standing.
Oh.
Is this better?
Oh.
Oh, you want to come up here and just? Okay, at long last, we've been trying to get our friends from Desert Regional to come and talk, and today was the right day to do it. So please welcome their team, or you.
I'll introduce myself.
Okay, great, good. I want to acknowledge the mayor of La Quinta, Linda Evans, who's also on their team. Thank you for being here as well. All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have a few slides. I promise it won't be death by PowerPoint. The chief had some fancy maps, and we've got to try to outdo that. I love a good map. All right. Great. Well, thank you for this opportunity to, here's the spot, okay. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to share some of the exciting things that are happening at Desert Regional. My name's Mike DeToro. I'm the new CEO at the hospital. I have been in this role for about 2 months, but I'm not new to the organization. Can you all hear me okay? I can project my voice. I'm not new to the organization. I've been here since 2018 as the COO. And have moved up over this time into the CEO role, so I'm very excited. Our mission at Desert Regional is to provide quality and compassionate care to this community that we serve. And part of that, as this slide behind me says, providing advanced care close to home. It's our mission to provide that care local here in Palm Springs, so the residents of this valley don't need to go elsewhere to get higher level of care. So I think Rich is going to help me move forward on these puppies. All right, perfect. So I want to start with oncology. So as this slide says, we have a team approach to cancer care. That picture shows all of our physicians in our comprehensive cancer center. It includes our surgical oncologists, radiation oncologists, medical oncologists. God forbid anybody here or your loved one needs a service at our cancer center. You will come here and get coordinated care from all of our experts. They talk about each patient individually and plan that best course of treatment, whether you need one of those modalities or all three. And it's a comprehensive cancer center. Rich, if you want to move to the next one, because in addition to the physician's offices under one roof, we have all the care you need, including a full suite of diagnostic imaging with an MRI and a CT, We have a lab to get the labs to decide to get care each day, a pharmacy. We do chemotherapy. We do radiation therapy. We have the linear accelerators. Beyond that care, we provide social, nutritional support, things like Reiki, yoga, mental health, wellness. We've got survivorship, pet therapy. If you've known anybody sick with cancer, when you are not feeling well, and you have to go to one location for a doctor's office, another location for chemo, another for radiation, that is difficult. This is one location where you get the coordinated care and all the services you need under one roof, and it all culminates at the end when, God willing, you ring the survivor bell. And I can tell you, when you ring that survivor bell and you're cancer-free, there's not a dry eye around, and it's impressive, and it happens all the time. Our next team approach to care, neurosurgery. So we have neurosurgeons, those are a couple of them up there, Dr. Morrow and Dr. Shields. We do all kinds of spine surgery. We have for back pain and whatnot. We do neuro-oncology, brain cancer surgery. We do deep brain stimulation. That is a surgery in your brain that will help to take out or take away Parkinson's symptoms. We do that locally here. They will do traumatic brain injury. In addition to neurosurgery, we are the Valley's only comprehensive stroke center. We take patients that transfer to us from a dozen different hospitals. They may be primary stroke receiving the other hospitals. They can do the medication to treat it. But if you need those advanced procedures from our neurosurgeons or our neurointerventional physicians that get in the brain to take out the clots and whatnot, we do that all here, and we help a very large geography where we're the higher level of care for that. Orthopedics. We've got a whole host of orthopedic surgeons. We do things from knee and hip replacement. We have Makoplasty. That's a picture of a robot on there that assists with knee and hip replacement, and it gives you the best outcomes in terms of quality, less bad outcomes, and it gets the most precise location of those implants in your knee to your specific anatomy. Additionally, they'll do hand surgery. We do foot and ankle surgery. We do the whole comprehensive offering of orthopedics, and we also have the traumatologists in that will support any trauma patients that come in. I talked about equipment on that last one. We have, this next several slides are going to show you several firsts for this valley. We invest heavily in technology and automation. We have multiple surgical robots. They're called the Da Vinci robots. We brought in the Valley's first Da Vinci 5, which is the most newest Da Vinci robot. It has the best outcomes, the least amount of complications, very, very technical. We've done over 2,500 robotic surgeries at the hospital. That's a picture of Dr. Awad on there in the console operating the robot. He does bariatrics. Those robots also do surgeries for urologic procedures, gynecologic procedures, lung, to name a few. Over 2,500 surgeries we've done with those robots with great outcomes. We were also the first in the Valley to bring on this robot, which is the Ion robot. And that's for our interventional pulmonologists. That's Dr. Toombs on there, an interventional pulmonologist. What does that do? If you need a lung biopsy, if you have a nodule in your lung, instead of the old approach where you go to take out that nodule or get a biopsy externally, that robot guides to go through your airway, and they map all the way down right to where that nodule is and get to the specific spot where it is. They can either take a biopsy of it or they can take the whole thing out if they need to. We've done well over 100 of these. We were the first to bring this in the Valley. We brought that in last year. That is a picture of our brand new cath lab that we opened in April. You also see on that picture our special mayor, Ron DeHart, cutting the ribbon when we were opening that cath lab back in April last year. Thank you, sir, for coming to that. We do open heart surgeries at the hospital. We have multiple cath labs. We have an electrophysiology lab. If you are having a heart attack, God willing, you will not. We have a hospital right here that gets you in immediately and provides you that life-saving care that you need for it. And we have physicians that are on call 24/7 to do that. We also brought in another brand new piece of equipment, the first in the valley. I'm sorry to get all tech and heavy on here, but it's exciting. Our EP physician, that's electrophysiology, they address abnormal rhythms in your heart. We brought in the valley's first PFA, which is pulse field ablation. And that allows Dr. Bakta to correct an abnormal rhythm, something like AFib, which you probably see many ads for meds that take care of AFib. And he gets to the most precise location in your heart where those cells are misfiring, and he corrects that rhythm immediately. And you come out and you don't have it anymore. The time with this new technology has been greater than cut in half from its predecessors. He can do more procedures in a day, better outcomes, less complications. Perinatal care. This is a big differentiator for us here. We provide the whole host of services, starting with maternal fetal medicine. So for high-risk pregnancies, women that have maybe a known issue with a baby, we have maternal fetal medicine specialists that will see the moms before they deliver in our outpatient clinic. And if those moms, God forbid, come in for preterm labor, they will see those patients in the hospital. We deliver over 2,000 babies a year. We have the Valley's only level 3 NICU. That is the highest level of NICU in this valley, and out to a geography towards the Mexican border, Arizona, Nevada. We have transport teams with nurse practitioners, respiratory therapists that will go pick babies up and bring them here because we're the higher level of care. Last month, we just had our first transport team that went out in a fixed-wing plane out to Arizona to bring a baby over here because we were the closest. And that baby did really well. We celebrated we had our 30-year NICU anniversary a few months ago, where we actually had 29 and 30-year-olds that attended it, who were alumni of our NICU, and they're doing great. That was attended by over 480 people. Truly remarkable what we do there. We also have a pediatric unit, and we are the first hospital in Riverside, one of the first 6 in California, and actually one of the first 30 in the country that received the prestigious Joint Commission Perinatal Advanced Certification, which means all those service lines are coordinated together. And that's exciting care that we are providing right here in Palm Springs. The other one, and I didn't put a slide on it because we talked about it all the time, but we heard Scott say it. We are the only level 1 trauma center. There are 4 levels of trauma, 1 through 4. Number 1 is the highest. We are the only center higher than a level 4 east of Riverside. And there's no center higher than that. And then when you get east of us, there's no level 1 trauma centers past the Mexican border, Arizona, Nevada. So similar to that NICU story, we have a large pull of trauma patients that come in here. You see on the news, there's a rollover on the 10, there was a significant injury, and they go to the nearest hospital. They're coming here to Palm Springs, and that's why those road closures can impact us so much. It's important that they stay open. Why is that important here? God forbid anybody here or your loved ones needs trauma care. Not only do we do it, folks, but we do it well. We have over 4,500 trauma patients that come in a year, and I'm not bragging when I say it. We save lives on a weekly basis, sometimes daily, and multiple lives from the care that these surgeons, these providers give. We do it well, and know that you're safe in this community because you have that in your backyard. We're bringing in other specialists that you see on this slide to fill in some of our gaps. A lot of oncology focus on this. These first 4 surgeons, urology, who has a specialty in oncology, ear, nose, and throat, Dr. Nagy, who also does head and neck cancer surgeries. We've got 2 gynecologic oncologists, a new general surgeon, a new joint revision surgeon, a surgeon who will do your normal joint replacements. But if you had one that you did before and it needs to be revised, a lot of doctors won't touch it. Dr. Pereira is going to do it, and he's going to do it well. And some of the other areas where we're bringing in recruits around colorectal surgeon with a focus and emphasis on men's health, breast reconstruction, and neurologists.
So that's a lot of our key and exciting service lines and growth. And then I have 2 more slides for you. We're growing our own. We have residency programs at the hospital, medical residents. When the physicians get out of medical school, the next step on their training is the residency programs. We are training emergency, family, internal, surgeons, all these different physicians, and we do this with the shameless expectation that the doctors that graduate out of these programs will stay here in this valley and care for us. And we have a great success rate of recruiting and retaining them to stay here afterwards. And then finally, well beyond what we do in the 4 walls of the hospital, of course, there's so many buildings, there's probably, what, 150 walls, I don't know. But inside those walls, we do a lot. Outside in the community, each year we donate north of $2 million to, Linda, dozens of different organizations, nonprofits. 71 every year. I wanted to highlight 2 of them. The first one, so One Future Coachella Valley. We gave a $1.8 million to double their nursing class, and they're committed to training healthcare workers that will stay in this valley. So $1.8 million for them to double that class, and then a lot of those nurses that graduate will come and work at our facility. And then the other one to highlight, DAP Health. We donated $2.5 million for the housing on Vista Chino for homeless, so they can get the health care that they need. So those are just a couple of examples of how we get back to this community outside of the hospital. I'm sorry if I talk too fast, and this thing doesn't work for me either. Can I answer any questions?
Yes, you made a brilliant presentation. I appreciate it.
Many thanks.
The question I have is, how does this equipment that you're using compare with AI?
Well, AI is coming, and it's here in healthcare. So let me give an example of something we use for our stroke program. You come in and you get a stroke. You will get imaging. You'll get a CT done of your brain, so we can see what's going on in there. We use a product, it's called Viz.ai, and there's different ones in that space. But what that will do is the computer, it runs that model and instantaneously gives the neurologist the synopsis on that image and helps to decide exactly what care needs to be done. The physicians can do it, can read it, but it expedites that time and that decision making. This year, we're going to be putting in a couple pieces of new equipment, brand new MRI that's going to have much more sophisticated software on heart imaging and brain imaging, and that's going to have some of that decision making expediting it, if you will. And the other areas where you have MRIs, say you need to get a CT again, an image of your chest or something. AI will work on that. Say they're trying to look at, I don't know, your gallbladder. It'll look everywhere else in that image, and it may pick up you've got an incidental node that they found in your lung. They may not have been looking for it, but they pick it up with that technology. And that allows us to then do the next steps we need to give you that preventative care or further diagnostic to see if that's a problem. Those are a couple of examples, but there's a lot, and our organization is investing in it. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, there's a question online here from Gustav. He's asking, is Desert Regional a designated National Cancer Institute? Has it been designated a comprehensive cancer?
We are a
center?
comprehensive cancer center.
Great.
We have the American College of Surgeons Commission on Cancer designation as a center of excellence in that. And so part of the way to get that is, when I talked about that coordinated care, you need to make sure those teams do all of that. And whenever you get some of these designations, like that cancer, like our perinatal designation or level 1, it's the expectation that you have things in your program, policies and procedures, but most importantly, you need to have the great outcomes to back it up. And our teams, our quality teams, our clinical teams, education, frontline caregivers, physicians, they pour their blood, sweat, and tears into those designations, which really top off the care, recognize the great care that you're doing, and the only way to get it is to have the outcomes to back it up. And the research. We do research in pockets for the Cancer Center to have that accreditation. Patients have to be offered trials. So there's trials that you can access that you go in with the latest and greatest at the Cancer Center. What else can I tell you, Kathy?
Yeah, just a quick question. is Desert Regional still affiliated, or is it currently affiliated with a medical college, like medical university?
There's no direct affiliation. So at one point, our family medicine residency program was affiliated with UCR, but now all of our residency programs are our own programs. We have our own faculty, our own medical staff. The residents are all employees of the hospital, get their education there, and then they're done, but not an affiliation with anybody at this point. Welcome. Not from a teaching perspective, but we do affiliate with Loma Linda on some of their physicians in some of our women's and infant service lines. So we have Loma Linda neonatologists and pediatricians in maternal fetal medicine. And that would be, if I would look at one of the gaps, some of the pediatric specialty care is what, there's kind of a gap in this valley. So having that close partnership with Loma Linda, when we have our pediatric unit, if there's anything beyond that capability, we've got a quick line that can get those kiddos over there to get what they need.
We have the only heliport, don't we?
We do have a heliport.
But I think it's the only one in the.
There is one at JFK. There's a heliport there as well.
Is staff affiliated with Desert Regional Medical Center?
Well, we work with them on many things. I mean, they're clearly a separate entity from us, but we have physicians that maybe join on staff. Some of the recruits that we're bringing in, like our men's health physician, the colorectal surgeon, we're expecting some type of affiliation with that. They're also helping with some of the training of our residents in some of those locations. So we do work very closely with them, an important partnership.
As a practicing psychiatrist, one of the things that's really missing is emergency psychiatric services. I've heard horror stories of having to board in the ER. I've been a for a long time finding placements. Any progress in that area?
Well, we do. The good news is that the Acadia Hospital, so the Coachella Valley Behavioral Health Hospital, which is in Indio, right next door to JFK, has opened. And so that's going to really help us with some of that placement of the patients that need that level of care. They will, yeah, they have an emergency department, so it's going to be a big help.
What was the name of that facility, again?
For the behavioral health, I think it's the Coachella Valley Behavioral Health. Is that right, Linda?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I tell you anything else?
Come back again.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all giving us the time.
One thing that I'll add, there is a handout with all of our services listed at the back. So if anybody would like to pick up, you can contact the cancer center, imaging centers, whatever you need. It's actually a little more than you probably would need, but everything's on there for the entire network, which also includes JFK and Indio and High Desert. They're part of the Desert Care Network. So we have service points at each location.
Thank you for advancing kind, sir.
Yes, you're huge.
Come back again. All right, another dimension of health is fire safety. I don't trust that. That's the gag. Yes, I do. Welcome back. Thank you.
I know, I got a good one.
No. There we go.
All right, perfect. See, I don't want to cover that. Can everyone still see the screens?
See that little one over there?
How's that?
That's good.
Good? All right. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me back. The last time that I talked in front of the group was a little after January when the LA fires had just happened. So terrible time, and I know there was a lot of kind of concern here in the room. And as I've gone around to talking to the neighborhoods, I always tell them the best question I've had since January came from this meeting here at 1PS. Are we safe? Right? And absolutely you are safe. Number one, you got a fantastic fire department. Number two, we're on top of things, right? We talked about all the mitigation, the prevention efforts, and if need be, the emergency response that we take care of. But what I want to do is come back today because we were waiting on some important maps that the State Fire Marshal just issued. So we'll get to this in just a second. And if you can see this, I thought this was such a great picture because we also talked last time when we met about being ready, set, and going, right, when you get the notification there's an emergency in your area. And this photo was taken from the Palisades fire in January. And if you can see that, that's a Los Angeles City bulldozer pushing cars out of the way. And just below the blade of the bulldozer, you see a fire hose stretched out. So what do you think happened there? You know what, I got plenty of time. You know what, that's just my neighbor's house burning. I probably got a good 10 minutes. You know what, too late, right? Way too late. So when we talk about ready meaning your home is ready. You've created that defensible space. You've cleared the trees from hanging over your roof. Set, you've got the go bag ready, right? You're tuned in when we issue the emergency notification to evacuate. You're already dialed into that. And when you get the go, you're out the door. That way fire department can get in there, we could do our job. These people waited too long. They waited till the last minute. And they end up evacuating their vehicles because the fire came towards them. I hope they're okay, right? I don't know, because that fire in Palisades took some lives. Next slide. So part of that ready, set, go is knowing your area, knowing where you live in Palm Springs. This came from the general plan for Palm Springs, and what this identifies is the evacuation routes for Palm Springs. So the dark red roads, those are your main primary evacuation routes. Palm Canyon, Indian Canyon, Gene Autry, those are your north and south, bringing you up to the 10 freeway or down to East Palm Canyon. And then going east and west is Ramon Road and Vista Chino. Not a whole bunch of options, right? So what the city has done is they've identified here by the gold color, those are known evacuation constrained residential areas. So if you live in those areas, that means you probably have a lot of cul-de-sacs. There's probably one way to get in and out, right? And as we build more homes beyond that, it's only going to get more constrained. So how important is it that you're not waiting to the last minute when there's an emergency going on or a fire, right? So important that you're ready. And when you hear that we want you to leave your home, you're not waiting, you're leaving. Because you're not going to be the only one using those roads. Guess who's coming in? Police department to help me evacuate, firefighters going in to put the fires out. So real important that you understand this here. And we'll talk a little bit more about this here specific to one of the neighborhoods. Next slide. So now we get to the maps. So I tell you, a lot of neighborhoods were holding their breath on the new fire hazard severity zone maps. So this right here, back in 2010, the State Fire Marshal, there was one level of ranking. If you lived in an area that was prone to fires, meaning you had the topography, there was probably hills, you have the weather, you have winds, and you've got the fuels, meaning brush grows in your area, you were labeled very high fire severity zone. And Palm Springs, the entire west side of Palm Springs in the south, and we're looking just at the core, not into the hills back here, it was labeled very high fire severity zone. So when I got here, what did we start doing? We started inspecting homes, right? And I tell you what, there was a neighbor in here that told me, someone from Little Tuscany, he goes, hey, what are you gonna do about the brush in my neighborhood, right? So along with the 1,200 homes, we started going out there and educating, telling people how to create a defensible space, clearing brush. Well, we start clearing our own brush because not too long after we start telling people to clear theirs, they go, hey, what about your lot? That's a city-owned lot. Why aren't you clearing your lot? So we start clearing 90 acres of brush, right? And successful. We did a whole fire season here. And knock on wood, last year there were 64 brush fires. How many did you guys hear about? Maybe the one that kind of burned up in the hills. But we got on them so quick, you guys didn't fight and hear about any of them, right? These firefighters do a really good job when we need to, right? So back in 2010, this is what it looked like, and this stayed in place until 2024. This just came out March 24th for Southern California. and this is the city of Palm Springs specific. So now they created, there's not only a very high, which still exists, if you live in Malibu, Hollywood Hills, right, lots of Orange County, Laguna Hills, Yorba Linda, you're still very high fire severity zone. But Palm Springs isn't that, right? When you look at the hills, you could actually see the hills. You can see the rocks, you can see the dirt. When you fly an airplane over Palm Springs, you can see the homes. You do that over Hollywood Hills or Malibu Canyon, you can't even see the homes. They haven't cleared their trees, their brush, right? So this makes sense. They've dropped this into, there's 3 tiers, very high, high, moderate. They've brought everything that surrounds the core of Palm Springs into moderate, which makes complete sense. Now, it's not all good news because they've also expanded. You saw here where there was no shading up here. Well, they've extended it in a little bit more up here in northern Palm Springs, a little bit more here on South Palm Springs, especially here around this Racket Club area. They brought a little bit more, basically extends all the way up to Tramway Road. And if you guys don't mind, I'll show you, I want to show you this neighborhood specific over here. I hope you can see this. This is the big room here, but this is Little Tuscany. And this here, I've got shaded, I'll just show you, it's kind of hard to see, but this used to be where the very high fire severity zone was, right? It was very low down here. Now it's extended all the way up here to Tramway Road essentially. Then it extends beyond to the Tuscany all the way up on 11. And it's actually come in a little further here into the neighborhood, almost to Palm Canyon. You can see it's just a couple houses away here. So although we've done better on the moderate level, we've added more areas. So that means we're still prone to fires, but again, it's not what they saw in Palisades, right? I told you last time we were here, I talked with Los Angeles Fire Department, a 100-watt flame of fire. And they put their water hose on it and it's just turning to mist, right? 80-mile-an-hour winds. We get the winds here, but these types of fuels here aren't going to produce that flame length, right? Still dangerous, but it's different. And that's why the state fire marshal found it reasonable to drop it to moderate. Now, as a city, we're going to determine what we want to do as far as mitigation and prevention efforts. I think we've done a good job. I don't think we should not do anything. But we've got a few weeks to come together as a city and decide what we're going to do. And the city has to adopt these maps. They've got 120 days to do that. So we'll bring this to council and provide more information on that. Okay? So once we do determine that, we'll come back and I'll make sure we've talked and I'll let you guys know everything we're thinking about on that. All right, next slide.
Hey, Chief, will that lower our fire insurance rates, just out of curiosity?
Well, you know what? I'm not an insurance agent. I don't want to speak for your insurance agent, but you know, I've talked with fire marshals and really the education they're providing their residents is, you know what, call your insurance company and go, hey, just a heads up, we're actually down in the moderate now. Now, if you jumped into the new area that wasn't shaded, maybe you don't want to say anything. I don't know. But, you know, I don't want to get into that because I think their analysis may be different than what the state fire marshal uses. So they may be 2 completely different things. Any other questions before we jump into looking at the 5-year future of the Palm Springs Fire Department? Yes, sir.
I represent Racket Club Estates, and a lot of the neighborhoods up on the northern part of town, we have a wind event almost every week. And so, as you can imagine, we talk about this a lot. And your strategy of removing the brush makes a ton of sense. I think we're really concerned about the power lines. So we talk about the Palisades all the time, but it was really the heat fire that it actually burned an area the size of Palm Springs, right? And I've done a lot of research, and I think out of the top 10 fires in California, a significant portion were power lines. And so when we talk about the city strategy and how you guys deal with that, how are we thinking about that? I know we have an ordinance to try to address that, but it's not an easy ordinance to try to, put into motion. So I'm just curious, like, when it comes to ignition sources and power lines are a big piece of that, how do you think about it?
Yeah, you're right. Some of the major fires have been because of those major transmission lines that have dropped, like the Eaton fire. And we haven't heard everything, right? There's going to be an after action report created on that, and to really determine the origin and cause of that fire. But from what we're hearing in the media, right, that they're kind of pointing a ring camera, looked at a major transmission fire or transmission line that dropped and to potentially cause that. But what I do know for a fact is after the Maui fires, right, what they determined was that when power lines drop, not only could they start a fire, but they also block egress. And one of the recommendations on that was, hey, in major egress areas, you probably shouldn't have those major power lines above those, right? So that's one of their recommendations that came out of that. So as the fire chief, right? Yeah, do I think, out of those areas, we shouldn't have those major transmission lines? Absolutely. But as you spoke to, there's a process involved in that. And I'm glad to see the city is looking at that. One of the neighborhood meetings I had, Councilmember Bernstein spoke about that, right? How many homes need to be involved in that? Chris, and you probably know more of the details about that than I do, but there is a process, right? If a neighborhood was interested in doing that.
The challenge of the process is the neighborhoods pay for it. So we all pay for it through our property tax. So it's not a burden on the city, but to get to that point, it's $50,000 to $100,000 a neighborhood. And
per home.
That's what I heard. I heard per home.
Per home.
Yeah. Well, to do the scoping,
Right.
to actually do the scoping, piece is $50,000 to $100,000. That is, that may work for some of the wealthier neighborhoods, but they're not in the wind zone, right? And so when you think about the risk for the city, I don't know, we heard about sustainability, we're talking about infrastructure and equity to the city. I just feel like that's something that the city and the fire department and the neighborhood should figure out, because we have to wait 5 years to underground these lines. I mean, these are big events. You talked about the hospital and making sure you can get to the hospital with one person. Well, there's 10,000 homes gone, right? And we have a lot more wind events than LA does. So I don't know. I'm just hoping there's a way for us to bridge the gap. We actually asked for Measure J funding for that $50,000. Every single neighborhood that asked for that was denied. And I just wonder if we're putting the priorities in the right place, because I love that this is a very civic-oriented city, and we do a lot for the arts. But for a $50,000 sculpture, we could start putting power lines underground. And so I'm just a little more practical with that. And I'm just hopeful that we'll figure that out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, great comments. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let's go to the next slide, Danny. So what I want to share with you is I came to council because I presented what the next 5 years should look like for the Palm Springs Fire Department. And I talked about this back when I first arrived here in Palm Springs. What I want to do is provide a roadmap for the whole community to know where we need to go based on several different things, right? So the first thing that we look at for a fire department is, what is the goal of a fire department, right? In an urban, suburban area, prevent death, permanent impairment for medical emergencies where possible, and confine building fires to the room or building of origin. At the fundamental level, that's what we're here for, right? The job is a lot more complex than that, but that is, when you look at a high 30,000 foot level goal, that's what the fire department's here for. Now, there's a lot of different levels of fire departments, right? We operate 5 fire stations here, but delivering desired outcomes depends on adequate staffing, apparatus type, training, and response times, right? So those are measurable goals that every fire department benchmarks themselves against on how effective we can be. Next slide. So where do we get response times from? We have Desert Regional over here. So survivability when someone has a heart attack. In the first 5 minutes, if someone has a heart attack, their heart stops, they're not breathing, you see this line here, how rapidly your chance of survival declines after 5 minutes. So how important is it for someone to arrive on scene, a trained firefighter, paramedic, defibrillator, trained in CPR to start saving your life? It's critical. So that's why the benchmark gold standard for us to start arriving, providing CPR and all the medications, 7 minutes, 30 seconds, gold standard. Fires, right? So we are an all-risk department. I have paramedics on the fire engine. We also have the hose and water on the fire engine. When you look at a timeline for a building fire, by the time the fire starts, if you don't have sprinklers, the fire doubles every 30 to 60 seconds unchecked, right? So a person calls dispatch, fire dispatch, at 3 minutes, the fire is now flashed over, meaning all the smoke has now started on fire inside a building. Chance of survival is very low on that. We arrive within that 7 minutes, we start putting the fire out, we start turning the curve on that growth of the fire. We start saving lives inside the building, we keep the neighbor's house from catching on fire. So that's why it's so important that we look for a gold standard in the fire department, 7 minutes, 30 seconds to arrive on scene. And you think about that, someone calling 911, fire department arrives on scene, CPR, putting the fire out. That's pretty good. Next slide. So this talks a little bit about that. Fire department is all about speed and weight. Us getting there quickly, 7 minutes, 30 seconds, but also the weight of having enough firefighters to get the job done. Now, if I show up with just 4 people and I've got a strip mall burning, we're not going to be very effective. I've got to make sure I have the weight of 5 fire stations responding with 22 firefighters to handle that emergency. Again, first unit should arrive within 7 minutes, 30 seconds to 8 minutes, 30 seconds. That's the first fire engine. All my fire stations should arrive within 11 minutes, 30 seconds, 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Again, gold standard. Next slide. So risk assessment, what makes Palm Springs important to have a great, well-trained, highly motivated fire department? What are the risks that you need a fire department to handle? Next slide. Service area, 94.5 square miles. This is a big city, a lot of square mileage. And we're doing it with 5 fire stations. Population, plus or minus 46,500. But with 3,200 businesses in the city, our daytime population, 65,000. And that's not counting a big event in town, right? You put an event down there on Palm or Indian, you add another 50,000 to that. So population is projected to increase slightly by 2035. They're looking at another 2,557 residential units being built within the city. And I've already been a part of that planning, right? Up in the north area of the town, we could look at the Lennar homes on East Palm Canyon. Those homes are already starting to go in. And those are single family residents, not condominiums and apartment buildings that are likely to be built in the future. So in the north part of the city, north of the 10 freeway, there's 2.6 million square feet of distribution warehouses planned to be built, right? So that's coming. Within the city, 39 critical infrastructure facilities, hospitals, right? Power, gas, fire stations, police stations. Multiple tourism, airport, natural and cultural resources. So we've got a lot to protect here in the city, right? You need a well-trained fire department to make sure we keep all these things taken care of. Okay, next slide. Where do all the people live? This map here shows the darker the color on there, the more dense the population. So if it's as dark color as possible here, every square mile, there's 4,500 people that live in that area. So you look up here, northern Palm Springs off of Highway 111, San Rafael, high density population. Down here by our fire station 1 near Ramon, another high density population. And then down over here, over by just south of the airport, another high density population. But you'll see there's lighter colors that still have quite a bit of people. So where do you think all the calls for emergency medical services and the fires are? That's where the people are, right? That's where our building fires are. People are going to have medical emergencies. That's where they're going to happen. And I'll tell you what, whoever originally planned where the fire station should be did a heck of a job, right? Because you look at those high density populations, I've got a fire station close by each one of those. Fire station 1 right here, fire station 2 by the airport, fire station 3 up there, north part of town, fire station 4 off of Laverne, and fire station 5 over here by the golf course. They did a fantastic job putting fire stations where the high density population was going to be. Next slide. Okay, we touched on the map already. We can pass this up. So deployment evaluation, how do we do? How do we measure up? Next slide. Number of incidents by years. We took a 5-year look at the City of Palm Springs Fire Department. In 2019, we ran a little over 10,000 calls. You're looking in 2023, we're up at 12,000 calls for service a year and getting busier by 3 to 4% every year. And that's all call types. Next slide. Now, Palm Springs, when do we start getting busy? What this looks at is time of day, right? Going from midnight back over to 11 o'clock at night. You look at a 5-year history, this 5-year history trends pretty much the same. Well, you look here, about 6 o'clock in the morning, the city starts waking up. By 11 o'clock, we're up and rolling. And we don't slow down until 11 o'clock at night. So we've got a busy day here. You know, Palm Springs, everyone loves having a good time out here, right? You got people out there, the weather starts getting nice a little later on. So this is a busy city pretty much around the clock for the fire department. And that's a 5-year look at it. You can see the trend doesn't change much. Next slide. So here's the performance measure here, right? So what we want to do is hit these benchmarks. We talked about where we want to be. So call processing time, by the time the dispatcher picks up the phone and starts sending a fire engine out, we want to do that 90% of the time, 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Right now, we're a little bit slower on that. We can get better. Crew turnout time. When we hear the phone call in the fire station till the time the fire engine is out the door, 2 minutes. That means dress, got your gear on, you're driving out the street. We're 36 seconds over that. We could do better. First unit travel time. Now, the goal is for us to be a 5-minute travel time. We're on the road, we get anywhere in the city and get a fire engine on scene in 5 minutes. This city is tricky. Number one, there's a lot of traffic. Number two, there is just no easy ways. I showed you that first evacuation route. How many major routes do we have in the city? A handful, right? So it's tricky. So that is tough for us to bring that time down. But again, first unit on call, we're only 19 seconds over that. To get everyone on scene, it's a little slower because I don't have enough fire station and fire units right now, but we're going to work on that. Next slide. So key challenge geography. So fire station siting guidelines. When I first got here, the city manager goes, Paul, take a look at Fire Station 1 downtown. It's approaching 70 years old. Number one, is that a good location? What should we do, right? So when you're looking at a fire station location, number one, it has to serve the most people. It should provide a 360 response area. Avoid any kind of, natural or man-made built-in barriers, meaning mountains, airports, and then provide immediate or rapid access, right? We're quick onto major thoroughfares. We're not making a bunch of left and right turns to get onto the major thoroughfares. Next slide. So right now, here's how Palm Springs Fire does with that 5-minute travel time. We do pretty good. We can see where we start petering out here up in north part of Palm Springs. We peter out here at Gene Autry. We're not getting all the way up. We're not getting on the other side of the airport either, in this industrial center. And then some of South Palm Springs here, we're not getting to that within 5 minutes. But we're doing pretty good in the core part of the city. And like I said, those stations were put in really good locations. Next slide. We talked about the density of all our EMS calls. The darker the blue, the more calls for service for emergency medical calls. That's where all the people are. Next slide. Same thing with the fires, right? The fires pretty much show the same thing where the people are. You'll see the hot spots right around here, Station 1, between Station 1 and 2 off of Ramon. Up there, North Part Station 3. And this is a 5-year look. We keep getting fires in the same location because that's where the people live. Next slide. So we started looking at Fire Station 1. What's a good location for Station 1? And we thought about maybe moving it. Station 1 right now is at Amado and Indian Canyon. So we said, hey, let's just move it across the street and see what that does. We started losing coverage by 0.4 of a mile. We just moved it across the street. Next slide. We looked at the next location, right? So we moved it further east over to Sunrise and Alejo. Well, we lost coverage by 8.2 miles, and that's citywide. Right? They start measuring. The GIS is so good when they do these studies, you'll start seeing where it starts pulling out of neighborhoods. Where this used to be green, you start pulling out of here at Old Lost Pond, and you start pulling out of here at Historic Tennis Club neighborhood. You'll see where you start losing mileage of road coverage just by moving that station to Sunrise from Indian Canyon. Next slide. And then the third side we looked at, not as bad, Tahquitz and Caballeros, but we still lost 4.8 miles of road coverage by moving it. So what does the study tell us? Fire Station 1's in a fantastic location. Don't move it. Right? Next slide. So deployment findings, Station 1 location should be maintained. Calls for service are increasing. EMS incidents represent 79% of what we do. There's a 42% rate of 2 or more incidents at the same time, meaning when the bells go off in Station 1's area, there's a 42% chance another call is going to come in, right? Decreasing dispatch and crew turnout times. By us getting down to the industry standard, getting my crews out the door, getting the dispatchers, getting an engine going, I could knock over a minute off my time to get my crews on scene. And we're working on that right now. We just chewed out all the guys. We want you out the door quicker. Overall growth, and more so in the northern area of the city, will pressure response times upwards, right? We start building those big warehouses. Desert Hot Springs is building a brand new fire station. And I talked to their assistant city manager, who's also their engineer, their city engineer, who was a big part in their station design. He said, we made sure we built that station for a ladder truck, because with those big commercial buildings going in, you got to have the elevated reach, right? So we're no different than that. Next slide. Deployment recommendations. Here's what they recommend for us to do in the next 5 years. Add a 4th firefighter position to the last remaining fire engine. This city has done a fantastic job. We've kept up with our industry standard staffing. I got one more firefighter I need to add, and I'm going to ask the city manager for that in the coming budget year. Remodel, expand Fire Station 3 to add an EMS squad. That northern part of the city, guess who covers this whole northern part and uses Racket Club all the way from Indian Canyon all the way down to Vistachino? Fire Station 3. So important that we get that some help. We want to put a paramedic squad in there, 2 more people to help them out in the future. Rebuild Fire Station 1 at the current site, just enlarge it. Want to make sure we have rooms. You go in there right now, there's 1 shower. You know, old school, right? Hey, you know, there's 1 shower, you know, there's 1 room, everyone sleeps. Well, you know, we talked to our firefighters, we surveyed them. Hey, well, what would you guys like for a comfortable place? And, well, I wouldn't mind a little privacy. I wouldn't mind not, you know, 1 shower, you know, and I wouldn't mind the building not being 70 years old. You know, updated with some modern conveniences, right, and some comfort. And I want to make sure that I'm able to attract new firefighters to work here, right? When you drive a new firefighter, we just did interviews, and they told me, hey, we drove around, looked at all the fire stations. That's what I want them to do. But when they drive by Station 1, I got the equipment to work out outside. I went, oh, no. You know, we can do better, right? We can do better, and we're going to do better. And then continue planning for a 6th fire station in the northeast area of the city as funding permits, right? So we talked about it on the east side of the airport. We have to cover that, right? Not today, but in the future. Next slide. So here's our next steps. We're going to review this content, our findings, make sure that I share it with the community so everyone knows where we want to go. Adopt and update response performance measures, right? We want to get the people out the door quicker, get them on scene quicker. Staff that last engine crew with a 4th firefighter, and then work to acquire a large parcel there for Fire Station 1. I just got to make it a little bit bigger to fit some more people in there and modernize it. Okay, next slide. So here's the tricky part, right? Has anyone heard of how long it takes to build a fire engine? It used to be if I ordered a fire engine, I'd get it in a year. 4 to 5 years now.
Oh my God. Why?
There's a whole thing, you know, there's been kind of a monopoly on building. There used to be a lot of different companies that would build fire engines. Well, you know, you start buying up companies, you start kind of controlling how fast you build them, and then the prices start doubling. So it's a mess.
All the pieces in America? Or is this?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked into it that deep if we're bringing in parts and everything else, but we're not the only fire department facing that. Last year, we ordered 4 pieces of equipment. I'm still 3 years out. We just ordered another fire engine this year. Council's doing what they need to do. It's these manufacturers that are killing us, right? But what we need to do is for every frontline apparatus, I need to have a spare. So we need one more fire apparatus to make sure we have a 1-to-1 ratio. Complete the facility upgrades, improvement plans, Station 3, Station 1, and then keep monitoring response performance, right? Make sure that we're monitoring how fast we're responding, how quick we're getting on scene. Okay, next slide. That's it in a nutshell. That's Palm Springs Fire Department in the next 5 years. Any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Are those evacuation maps available online?
They are. Yeah, if you go to the city website, go to the general plan, and then within that, in the safety element, there's a piece of it, but there's also a traffic plan within the general plan that you can look at, and that's where all this is. Anyone else?
How cooperative are we citizens when you are trying to get to a place? Have you noticed any problems?
You're no worse than any other city I've worked in.
I mean,
well, you know what?
I'm on Alejo, and you guys come down Alejo all the time.
Well, I meet with our engineer, right? Because there's a lot of traffic work going on. They show me some plans. I go, okay, let's all put ourselves in the driver's seat. You're in the behind the wheel, fire engine's coming up behind you. What do you typically do?
Forever. Nothing.
Most people freeze. Most people go, you know what? Maybe they're going to go. So we go oncoming traffic a lot of time, right? Because people in a turn lane will go, well, I'm in a turn lane. I don't want to go make a right, pull the right, and I might get hit. Or a lot of people just go, I'm just going to stay where I'm at. That might be the best option for me. And that's what we see a lot of times, right? We take on opposing traffic, and we got to do what we have to do.
What do you prefer?
Well, if you
What's
if you pull to the right, that's what you should do, right? You should pull to the right and allow emergency vehicles to pass by. That's the best thing. Yes, sir.
When you mentioned Ready, Set, Go and alerts, how are you alerted?
So, you know what? I'm glad you asked. I've got my emergency management coordinator who handles all of that for me.
So, have you heard of Everbridge? Yes. It's Everbridge is how you're going to get notified for an evacuation. We actually
not. What is it?
Everbridge is the city's mass notification system. So that's how you get notified. It is a software. Yes. Most of the information that comes out from dispatch when the police department decides that the roads are too dangerous and they close them. But I just did training for our 3 admin staff in the fire department so they can do notifications as well. We try to isolate that area and be like, if you're, in this geographical area, we're evacuating because of a fire. I'll come back and give you it.
Well,
just
on the App Store? Or?
No, if you go to the city's website,
okay,
just look for mass notifications.
And you just search Everbridge, Palm Springs.
Yeah.
And then you can find out what's it.
And you can select the way you get notified, right?
Yeah, so it's an opt-in. It's an opt-in system. The only things that you can't opt out of are police, fire notifications. So if it's an emergency, you're getting notified. But there are other things. So I put a feature in. So if the pool is going to close, our aquatics people can put that information out to. We have some very active swimmers. So. But when you get on there, you can see all the drop-down menus. So you can't opt out of police and fire.
Danny,
Yes, ma'am.
would that notify us when an evacuation center opens?
Yeah. So if we're gonna do if we're gonna do an evacuation because of a fire, there's gonna be a conversation on where are we gonna send these people. Our primary facility for evacuations is the pavilion. It's a city-owned facility. We can put several hundred people in there comfortably. It was as comfortably as you can be in an evacuation center. And then if it's bigger than that, we have the convention center. The challenge there is anything overnight. There's no showers. Yes, ma'am.
The supply building that you store your things in, like at.
Up at JOJ. Mm-hmm. So there's some. Every single firefighter has a key. So the Knox boxes that have their fire department access, they all have access to those containers. The one that James suggested, that lock's a little bit tricky.
We still have a key, bolt cutters. We'll get in for you.
Okay. Is it kept up to date in supplies? Okay.
And one last thing, Peter asked me a question at his neighborhood meeting, beautiful location, by the way, surf club. But he asked me, how many hydrants are there in the city of Palm Springs? He put me on the spot, boy. He's like, hey, I got one last, but I got to still get back to you, Peter. I've got to still get back to you.
390.
I'm gonna get back to you on that. But I'll tell you what, one of the things when we had, last time we came here, we had DWA, Desert Water Agency. Does everyone remember that?
Yeah.
We're in the process of updating our agreement with them, right? Making sure they're testing our fire hydrants, right? That we get notified when there's any issues. That's a 1981 agreement that was done. It was still typewritten. So we're updating it because I know how important that is, right? We got to make sure we have a good water supply in the city. Yes, ma'am.
So who's checking the fire hydrants?
Desert Water
That's
Agency.
Desert Water.
Yeah, that's part of the agreement. Annually, they test every fire hydrant in the city. Yeah, it is. It's a big deal. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you so much. This is some wonderful
Yeah,
information that,
great.
you know, we don't really know. And all of this that comes out to all of us, it's real important for us to understand it. Thanks, Danny, too.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Very good. All right, thanks for staying with us. This was great topics tonight. We still have two more pieces of business to do, and I'd like to ask the chief to come up here. Chief of Police, that is, and Denise. Did everyone go to the picnic? Raise your hand. I don't want to see every hand. It was a beautiful day. Are you, sir? Good to see you. Wonderful day. Joy had to run off to another meeting. I think it was the largest picnic ever. We had like 20 neighborhoods represented. Denise, you know.
We had 1,100 people, at least attend, because we had the food dinner, we gave out all the tickets, 1,100 tickets were on. So it's at least that many. There were 60 age groups, including police and fire. 20 neighborhoods participated. Blood donations, 12 donors, 11 were collected, first-time donors. Chief Mills was kind enough to be the booth judging for the best food, and myself, Cassie Mills, did the judging for the doggy costume contest. But we had a great time, and the best number we got is there were 16 COD volunteers that they were just amazing.
They were amazing.
And it was the best week. If we had picked the week before, the week after, we'd been blown away. 85 degrees on March 22nd is perfect.
And here's to Denise and the whole committee.
Yes.
Please don't quit.
Yeah. Oh, and most importantly, we raised $9,175, which again covered it. So
Right.
thank you to our sponsors. Some of them are here, some of them left, but yeah, that really helped us. So.
So we have certificates for the booths that were judged to be the best, and my partner up here. Get up here. Right. Gus, you're next.
Brian.
Brian, it's your fault.
It's Brian.
All right, so we have 4 categories: honorable mention, third, second, and first. So, Historic Tennis Club, are you here? Come on down. Stand next to the chief.
Next to the
How many
chief.
tennis balls did
Brian, get
I
in
don't know,
there.
but a kid won. All right.
You see, I'm upped my game a little bit there. We got the blades on this time.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Thanks.
Third place, Trino.
Is anybody else here from
Oh,
Trinidad?
No, Catherine got up here.
We both are.
Yeah, we're both.
We're both
Oh,
Trinidad.
that's right.
You get that. I didn't hear applause from that. $50 check.
Nice. Okay.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second place goes to Oasis del Sol. Oasis has Sol. And this is for $75.
Thank you.
Here's your certificate.
Cool.
Excellent. And finally, I have nothing to do with this.
That's true.
I was running around doing
You were, yes.
Movie Calling East for the second year in a row. There it is. There you go.
on Lori.
Cool, thank you.
There you go.
Nice.
Thank you. So next year is the 17th annual picnic. And so we will all be there, but more booths. Good job. All right, appreciate your patience. We have a few more reports. Gus from police, if you have anything to tell us from your tablet?
Mike, or do I just yell?
Just yell.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Just want to cover a couple of things that we participated in last month, but we had officers out in a booth set up at Friends Pride. We had attendees at the Chase Awards gala. Also had staff over there. And then we had officers working retail theft. We have a grant that we're still working on, so they're working with the big box stores, identifying people that are going in and stealing and making arrests out of that. We also had a DUI checkpoint. We had staff working on Operation Rearview Mirror, so I'm trying to rush through some of these things. We also participated in our Opera in the Park, Movies in the Park. And then we did a couple of town halls. So we did a harm reduction town hall over at Hunter's. And then that same week, we did one for talking about the impacts of cannabis on youth. So that was in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Palm Springs. One of the things, going back to the harm reduction thing, a lot of people didn't understand that there was this bill that was set in force, and also in health and safety code. Essentially, this was brought together because there was a few overdoses. And there's a lot of issues when there's an overdose, but there's a law that prevents police from responding and arresting people either under the influence or in possession of narcotics when there's an overdose reported. So that was really good information to get out to the community when we had that town hall. Additionally, in the last week of March, we had an academy graduation, so we have 2 new recruits. They're actually going through training right now. They're in their second week of training, and shortly we'll be getting them out on the streets. We hosted a coffee with a cop last week. Then on the 3rd, we had 14 candidates that were interested in getting that police trainee position that were getting tested here at the police department. I don't know, Chief, do you know, anybody tell you how many of those passed?
I think it was 8.
8? Okay, so 8 candidates that were processing for the police officer position. We did have, that same evening, we had a dispatcher appreciation dinner. So that was Coachella Valley-wide. A lot of other agents or dispatch centers in the valley were out there, so the different agencies honored them. I do want to make you aware that between April 13th and 19th is Dispatch Appreciation Week. So we're doing, if you go to our social media, we're doing Adopt a Dispatcher. So what you could do is, if you want to write this down, but it's pspd.dispatchsupervisors@palmspringsca.gov. Reach out if you want to participate, send them a letter, a little care package. They'll basically have you sponsor one of the dispatchers so you could adopt them, so to
Can
speak.
you say that one more time, the website?
Yes, it's pspd.dispatchsupervisors, and then the rest is like every city
gotcha.
email.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody?
Better just send it to you or me.
Yeah. Come Easter, I'll start eating chocolate again, so I'm good with chocolate. Does anybody not like ice cream? Okay, no hands. So our search and rescue team is participating in Ben and Jerry's free ice cream cone for the day. So they're going to be there till 8 o'clock. So I encourage everybody to leave here, go over there and try to get a free scoop of ice cream on a cone. They are taking donations, and so if you want to support them, please do so. This coming weekend, and then the weekend after that, and then the weekend after that, we'll be participating in Stagecoach and Coachella. And I know overtime-wise, there'll be some pool parties over at the surf club. And then lastly, I want to make sure I get this out there for the Palm Springs Police Officers Association. But they got their 3rd annual Community Appreciation Day, and that's going to be in. Sorry, I had this all queued up. That's going to be 5 to 7, and that is, pardon me. You want to call the next person up, I'll scream it out.
You're good. Yeah, you want to report? Just because, in respect to everybody's time, I'll go quick.
Yeah.
So we're about to start warming up. Is that a surprise to anybody in this room? You're fibbing. So I have two questions as we start to get into our warmer months. I have two prizes. Who can tell me the record number of days Palm Springs had with days over 100 this year? No, in history.
Oh, in history?
How many days out of the year we've been over 100?
85.
No.
60.
250.
You're the closest so far to 86.
125.
No?
75?
151.
Oh!
So, who did 130? Yeah, you guys are trained, so. Okay, so, and for a Net fan to keep you cool, how many days last year did we have over 110?
That was 85.
73. Really close. 94.
I read
25.
I'm 83.
83.
So if anybody was unsure of what the weather is going to look like for tomorrow through October, it's going to get, that's why our Canadian friends leave. They light up for good weather and they leave when it turns to an oven. Yes, so we're expecting a slight heat wave for most of April, which that for us it still means 100 to 110, but
Oh, thank you. I listen.
That should work.
I know. Thank you.
You've heard me say that before. I got it. But so be prepared, stay safe. I'm working with Denise. We're gonna push out a bunch of messaging like we do every year. It's about to be summer and stay safe. Give it back to Gus.
Yeah, so this one is actually MB in partnership with the police, the fire department, Firefighters Association. So it'll be the third annual, and this will be on Wednesday, May 7th. It's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and it'll be on the rooftop of the Flannery Exchange. If you're interested, it is a nice spot. Hopefully it's not one of these record heat days that we're talking about. But if you are interested, there's a different email just to RSVP, but it's jbanford, BANFORD, at palmspringspoa.com. So with that,
thank you, sir.
Any questions? No? All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Sustainability.
So just very quick, we do have two events coming up. Team workshop next week on April 15th at City Hall. So if you know of any teams, have them register. There's flyers in the back. We also have the Earth and Arbor Day Festival, which is going to be April 26th at Victoria Park. It will be from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. with pre-planting from 9 to 10. Any questions? Do you have a flyer? Yes, they're all right in the back.
Hey, Nico, how much shredding did you get? Do you know how many pounds?
We did, it was about 6.5 tons.
Wow.
400, I want to say like 50 boxes.
Wow.
So does that include pre-shredding? That does not include pre-shredding.
Wow.
There was a lot of pre-shredding.
Yeah. Thanks. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's your water.
Okay.
Palm Springs.
Hi everyone, just a couple updates to follow the Arbor Day. PSES will be having a compost and mulch giveaway on Arbor Day. So if you want to bring your vehicles or wheelchair, however you want to carry this, we'll have a giveaway, or the city will actually. We're just assisting with the delivery and transportation of it. So it will be available at Victoria Park, flyers back there. We were just working on the logistics of that, but we will have that available for citizens, residents. And the other thing is for citywide cleanup next week. Remember, you don't need to call, just set out your bulky items. It is next week, set them out on Monday. We'll try and get them as soon as we can. So next week, Monday to Friday, we'll have citywide cleanup. The next thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if any of you saw the electric truck that we were testing. We just tested our second truck. It did great. We're working. Our real test will be this summer, of course, when we bring the truck and see if we can make that same route that it made, which is the hardest, heaviest, longest route day, if we can make that day in the summer. So that's a true test. So we'll be having more trucks coming to test, but we're getting closer to that. And then lastly, we wanted to share one of our programs that we work with the city is the Navigation Center. We offer to assist and make sure we recruit and employ one of the candidates that have help from the center. And we just got our first person, and it's going great, and it's amazing to be able to help someone. And we look forward to working with more and more of those residents there. And that's it for me. Just don't forget cleanup next week. Don't remember drop-off was initially after cleanup. It already happened last weekend, so no drop-off on the 19th. Just Monday through Friday. Thank you, everyone. Yes, sorry, question.
Thank you for coming to the Palm Canyon meeting. We gave out like 20 compost bins.
Thank you. Anybody else want to have me over, please let me know. I'll be there. Thank you.
Denise, do you have a report?
I have no report.
No report. May 13th is our next meeting. See you right here. Thank you.
Thank you.